Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Ipswich Town Council Planning Committee. It's lovely to have a full committee, isn't it? Now, our Mid-Sussex colleagues have returned from their meeting last time. Item number one is public participation. There is none, surprisingly, and there's nobody on Zoom either tonight. Item number two is apologies for absence. We shall wait for the clerk to come back before we start that, but it is really lovely to have you all in the room. Make you all excited for a thoroughly exciting evening.
Is this the first one planning meeting back after from Zoom?
No, I mean lots and lots and lots and lots.
Oh,
But we now it's on Zoom
right.
and being recorded. They go on YouTube. Item number two is apologies for absence. Please take clerk.
Town there.
Thank you. Item number three is to receive the minutes held on the 9th and the 11th of May. Can I ask, I'll propose them. Can I ask for a second, please? Are there any comments about any of those minutes? Good bedtime reading for everyone. In that case, can I show of hands to adopt them? Thank you.
Here you go.
Hey, thank you. You're better at this than me. I've done it all. Item number four is to receive members' declaration of interest. We shall go around the room this way. So I shall start. So I need to make a declaration of interest on DM 21 1842, land at Queen Victoria Hospital. As I work there, I shall leave the room and take no part in the discussion. Councillor Whitaker.
Thanks, Chairman. Yeah, as member of Mid-Sussex District Council District Planning Committee, I reserve my right should further information come forward that any of these applications come before my committee to reserve my judgment.
Thank you. Councillor.
There's something with me. Got an interest on the land behind the Queen Victoria Hospital. Employees, so to go out and
Councillor Mrs. Watt.
Thank you, Chair. I would also like to leave the room for DM 211842, as I still am on the staff bank at the Queen Victoria Hospital. And I also feel that I should declare that I am on the housing scrutiny at Mid Sussex District Council. I don't know that that makes any difference, but I thought that you should know.
Thank you. Anybody else? Brilliant. Thank you. All okay with those? Chairman's announcements, a brief one tonight, following the request actually that came from my vice chair. The clerk has submitted a representation reiterating the comments of the committee from June 2021 to the planning inspectorate regarding 9 Moulton Road. So that's gone to appeal, so we're just reinforcing their appeal with our comments from then. Both Councillor Odie and the town mayor did a lot of work on the council's behalf on that, so we'll put that forward again for them. Item number 6. I can bring the screen up for this. Okay. It's licensing application for Huck Spa. This is removal of existing condition to allow the sale of alcohol without a meal, add off sales to license and extend sale of alcohol to 100 hours, Monday to Saturday, in addition of late night refreshment Thursday, Friday, Saturday, amend opening hours, add regulated entertainment. We normally refer this to the licensing officer, and if we want to make a specific comment on it, I would propose that. Can I have a second? Are there any specific comments that anyone would like to add to this?
May I retrospectively add to my declarations of interest, because I also sit on the licensing committee.
Your list is long, isn't it? Just trouble, Councillor Moore. So are there any comments on that licensing application at all? No. Thank you. Another show of hands. Approve that. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 7, protected tree applications, of which there are 2. The same with this, we refer to the tree officer unless there are specific comments on block. I would like to recommend that. Can I have a second or second? Are there any comments there that wish to be made on any of those? Councillor,
Only that is the ash, I believe, is due to the ash dieback. I would imagine.
so yeah.
Are they replacing? Something.
I haven't seen anything, but this obviously that may not come under this.
No.
It's usually a requirement if a protected tree is removed that it be replaced.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further comment? Can I show of hands? Okay. There's only one slide which I'm going to leave up for this for Councillor Odey to introduce. If you have seen this before, I think Councillor Rockford, Councillor Pavor, and I shall leave them. Are you okay with the control of things?
Yeah, I think so. It's just that's just that page, isn't it?
It's just that page. You can zoom in on that top bit there if you want to.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Your laser pointers there.
Oh, I get a laser pointer. Yeah, laser pointer. Yeah.
The laser point.
Fantastic. Okay. So this is application DM 21-1842, land at Queen Victoria Hospital. The erection of 30 dwellings along with access from Oakfield Way, along with parking and landscaping. There are amended plans that were received on 17th of December, showing amendments to the scheme, including design and layout changes and additional units. Additional highways information was received on the 21st of March this year, and amended plans and sustainability statement was received on the 21st of April. We've, as a council committee, we've seen this various times. We've sent 2 lots of comments, chaps, on that one. Do you want to recap on the last set of comments?
Just in case we don't fully reiterate.
This was on the 14th of February this year. The committee noted the increase in dwellings, but referred back to the comments from this committee on the 2nd of June 2021. The committee felt that the decision and the concerns therein were still relevant, but in addition, whilst there's been a new traffic survey, this was again carried out in holiday time, and it is not therefore fully representative of the busyness of the road. Resolution as to what access will be available to the hospital from the site is also needed. The urban designers' comments concerning the original design remain valid. Local residents' concerns as to privacy and road traffic should be considered. Policies relevant to refusal of this application are DP21, which is transport. Severe residual impact will be felt from this. The parking survey only covered a small area and was not big enough, and was not a big enough area to get a good feel. I'll explain that in a second to Councillor Scott and Councillor Whittaker. Further advice and clarification as to when cumulative effect does become severe is needed to understand application of this policy. DP26, design of properties aren't supported by Mid Sussex District Council in the Good Design Guide, and DP29, the East Grinstead Town Council support the urban designer identified concerns as to air pollution. The parking survey only covers a certain distance from Oakfield Way. It doesn't cover the whole road, as in Blacklands Farm, Blackrod Farm Road, which was a concern to us because there is that sort of residual creep of parking all along that road, which causes massive problems for all residents really. To give some background and some context to that, on the 2nd of June last year, we wrote the entrance from Oakfield Way is not deemed suitable to cope with larger vehicles such as refuse lorries. In addition, the extra traffic generated will result in a detrimental effect on all residents in the area. The new build at the bottom of Blackwell Farm Road will, when included with this, have a significant cumulative effect on which cannot be ignored. So that's the housing that's being zoned off as we speak, actually, on that corner. It's imperative that a traffic survey is carried out in normal times. Now, the only thing that I could see in the new application is that they have done a traffic survey on the 14th of September last year, which they said was inconclusive in terms of our thoughts and our worries with regards to traffic. So that's just to put that on the table, really. The council would want to know more about the intended pond management, which could result in danger to life if youngsters are to be encouraged to play in the area. The environmental benefits are woolly in that they refer to minimal standards. A development of 28 homes we would expect to far exceed minimum benefits and start to lead on sustainability in development. The council was shocked to understand that the developers reduced their number of dwellings for these to be encouraged to be increased by officers in Sussex. The cumulative effect of this development is simply going to overstretch infrastructure and cause more problems for the existing residents. So they've gone from 28 homes to 30 as well. My recommendation really is to say that is to recommend refusal again on the grounds that none of the information it requested has been supplied, and that the objections from residents is substantial. And I don't think it's NIMBYism at all in any way. I think they're just very concerned residents and people that live on there who are already at maximum level of traffic congestion, amongst other things. So my proposal is for refusal. If I can have a second, or thank you, Councillor Scott.
I also want to say something.
And we'll open it up now.
Yes, we have seen this a few times. And the incredible thing is it's come back with an extra couple of units in it, which is really dark in that respect. The last time this was before us, Councillor Margaret obviously made some wonderful points, which I still remember, and I was going to say them, but she said them prior to me mentioning. I just think the impact this is going to have on the people around there is just too much. I think the most important criteria is the school. That is the absolute important criteria. That school is in a place where it's going to be cause so much disruption and so many problems for mothers and fathers dropping off their children, picking up their children. And that's just for the building of these houses. I don't think that's going to change a great deal even when it is built. And then we've got the houses down the bottom that are going to be built. This is all adding to Blackwell Farm Road, which isn't the greatest road to drive up and down at the best of times. And as you say, lorries, I just think it's in the wrong, it's in a place that is accessible by one road. And that road isn't good enough to take another 30 units where you could have, if you had 2 cars a unit, that's 60 cars. I mean, that area is not good enough for that, and I can't support it for all those reasons. And I think the biggest reason is with me is the school. The location of the school affects where those units are going to go, and now they're going to add another 2. That's my piece.
Councillor Dealey?
I think it's just to sort of reiterate what Councillor Scott said. It's not just that development itself, it's the cumulative effect in that localised area is vast, and it's not really been taken into consideration with some of the surveys that have been done from, for example, West Sussex, and the traffic. They're not looking at it in the right way. They're looking at it in a very blinkered fashion. So I think it's going to put too much pressure on the infrastructure in what is already a very congested area, along with all the other comments that you quite rightly put.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? Chaps? Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I haven't been. I'm very glad to be back onto your committee, so thank you for that. I haven't been part of your committee when this application has come forward previously. However, I have been on the portal earlier on this week and spent a considerable amount of time reviewing everything on the portal. First thing I'd like to say is I'd like to thank you and the chairman for the previous comments you made, the previous submission, which I thought was incredibly well researched and documented. and thought through. So I was incredibly impressed with that. So that's the first point I'd like to make. Second point is that the traffic surveys clearly got a major weakness because it was done in half-term holiday, and the golden rule is you just don't do traffic surveys in school holidays. So there's a fundamental technical weakness there that I think the applicant needs to address. I would like to say that technically this is an allocated site because it was allocated in 2004 local plan. It's a safe policy and it's come forward. So people need to be aware of that. And obviously being hospital grounds, there is a substantial community benefit potentially if this does get in some shape or form get granted planning permission, because there will be a large capital contribution to the hospital, and given its current situation, I think that's relevant and material. So I just want to make that point. I've also noted that the urban designer has raised an objection to the design. I personally don't agree with the objection, but it's a material fact. He has refused on design ground. So given the doubts on that, given the previous work that Town Council's done from the Town Council point of view, I think there are too many doubts still at the moment to for me to give up a positive outcome. So I think I would back your recommendation.
Okay, thank you. John?
I agree with the comments made, and I've obviously been sat in the committee and made the comments in the past, and I don't think enough has changed to be able to change my decision.
Yeah, okay. I'll say all those in favour of the refusal. It's carried. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So you approved that and asked for an additional 90 houses?
Yes.
Yeah.
Extra stories.
Okay, next one we've got is, I'm going to step away, sorry. Is DM22 1360 55 Elizabeth Crescent. This is a retrospective application to remove the existing garage and erect a 2-storey side extension, amended to previous approved application DM21 2922. I really only brought this forward because it is retrospective, although it's only a technicality on the retrospective. So this on the corner here, this corner plot here, purple bit shows the new extension, and this shows the proposed extension here. Councillor Pavor, would you like to start us on this?
As you know, we don't really like this retrospective, but this was already supported by the committee previously. And I think there is an issue about the public solar. And I think as long as it's sorted out with the water company, then it's okay.
You could recommend approval.
Yeah.
Can I have a second for that? Any further discussion on that?
What was different? What was the retrospective changes?
It's really subtle. Really, I'm not quite sure why it was.
It's because their class was material change.
I think because it already started.
Yeah.
They've had to kind of bring it
Doesn't
back.
doesn't need to be a lot of change for it to be
Yeah.
requested to be submitted. I can assure you that from personal
Yeah.
experience.
I only brought it back because of that word retrospective, because there's a kind of good practice that we.
But we've mentioned a bit about the
Scrutinised.
drains prior to that. This isn't causing the drain issue, is it?
No. So I think it's just good practice to discuss it, but I think in this particular case, Councillor Paul is completely correct that there's very little reason to.
Yeah.
Can I show of hands to support that then, please? Thank you. Okay, we'll go to DM22 0945. This is 92 Sisteran Way. This is proposed loft conversion to provide a bedroom bathroom with addition of Velux windows to the front and rear roof. So this is in Towel. This is the new, well, not that new now, but the newest builds by the old convent. And these little drawings here show the before and after. So here we are without Veluxes, here we are with Veluxes. With anyone's. This is town, so Scott, please.
Yeah. I think you're going to know the first thing I'm going to say, because I say it every time when there's a loft conversion. Has anyone taken consideration to escape routes and fire? Because when you start turning the loft into somewhere to live in, there's got to be some sort of access. I've always said that. I will say it every time we have one of these.
It's not a planning consideration, it's a building control.
Well, I think, if we're going to pass something, I think it's fine. I think it's very important, but
No, it is important. I'm not trying to say.
yeah. Well, I would pass this based on my recommendations that a fire officer should look at the layout and if there's an escape route in the fire. Because if you're turning a loft into a place, I just think it's important. But I would pass it, yes.
Okay. Could I have a second for that, please? Any further discussion on this at all?
Well, I just thought, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to go by it recently, but I wouldn't have a problem with the Veluxes on the back, but are there any other ones that on the front? Because it's quite a uniform appearance, and I'm nervous about detracting from that.
Yeah.
So
And that is the reason I put it in, because these are all matching beautifully down the front.
Yeah.
So that would be a big concern of mine, is the effect on the street scene. And I actually think, I'll come on, it looks kind of weird. I'd be happy with these two. It's this little third window offset here. They're very symmetrical, very neat down there, and it just seems it's going to look suddenly very messy. And if everyone starts doing it,
yeah, exactly.
it's going to look very higgledy-piggledy, and I think affect the street scene greatly. So I have concerns over the aesthetic.
What is that window adding? I didn't even see it.
No, I didn't notice that. That's a window, no. I don't know what that one is.
Councillor Whitaker.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I remember the site, but this was originally a site allocation development plan document, DPD, back, probably going back 10 years now. And I remember coming through the planning process over many years. I think there is I haven't checked, but I think there is a planning condition on these houses. These roofs are at 60-degree pitch, which I've often seen. There's a huge void in the roof space. So I can see the logic of why the owner applicant has put this in. I think we need to check there's a planning condition. There was huge debate about the design. I remember I worked on with the urban designer. The vista looking down from the traffic lights and from the convent back through is key to the planning design of this scheme. And I agree with your comments that front Veluxes, if this house does it, most of the others will do the same thing over the course of the next few years. And it will completely detract, in my personal view, from the vista. And so I agree with Councillor Delsey and yourself.
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned, I think rear
On the front.
dormers, I've got very little problem with, but the front ones, I think, do detract.
That vista is usually important.
Okay, so we do have a motion to approve on the table. So can I have a show of hands to approve that? Thank you. And against? Thank you. Would anybody like to make a counter proposal? No, I will make a counter proposal. I'd like to make a counter proposal. We recommend refusal on being detrimental to the street scene. To looking at the covenants that, well, those covenants technically can be around, but I think looking at the covenants placed upon it when being built, and that we would support rear dormers, but not rear Veluxes, but not front facing Veluxes. I think it breaks with that very unique symmetry of that street. Can I have a second? Any further comment on that at all? In that case, can I show of hands? Sorry, Councillor Scott. Next one is the Wittering. Sorry, this is DM 22 1219. This is the Witterings, Bursfield Road. This is demolition of single-storey rear extension and front porch at ground level, erection of single-storey rear extension and front porch at ground floor level. So this is part way up Hurstfield Road. Dodgy bloke lives down here. Me. It's far enough away from my house not to cause a conflict. This is the house here. This is the yes, this is the proposed and existing in the front. Quite hard to see plans, and there's also, but the bigger ones are really at the rear here with this dormer. Do you want me to zoom up on those for you? So that's the new rear extension. At the front, we've got a new porch.
Can you go to the other one again, the previous one? 'Cause I struggled to get this one. I think it was really thin. Yeah. Okay.
So the front porch is
It's inevitable, like that.
there is a new porch, but it's really the rear where we're going to see the biggest difference from. So this is Baldwin's. So who would like to start me on this one?
I'll start and then I don't.
Councillor Dooley.
So, with regards to the bits we can comment on, I don't necessarily have too much of a problem. It's, you know, it's a bit of an alternative design, but it's making good use of space. The front, I've got no issues with at all. The porch is negligible, as you say. It's the rear of the property. It's an interesting design. It's going to add some good use of space. In regards to the dormer, we can't really comment on that because that's being done under permitted development. So it's something that we can't, as a planning committee, really put too much comments against. It's a large dormer, and not to, you know, that it's not ideal, but again, it's not something we have any control over in this particular application. And I know there's some other points that well, we need to. So I would propose that we approve it for the parts that we can.
Can I have a second for that? Is it awkward? What would you like to say?
Yeah, there's no objections on the portal, but I was very mindful of the tree report, which was quite comprehensive. And trees T1, T2, T3, T4 are within falling distance of the work. And so as long as it's completed as per the tree report, which requests barriers put in for the duration of the build, I would be quite happy to support it.
Thank you. Any further comment on this? In that case, can I show a show of hands to support? Thank you. Okay, slightly more technical and complex one. DM 22 1532. This is land at junction of Blackwell Farm Road and Holt High Road. This is simply to do with the variation of condition 13 relating to planning reference DM 20 1333 in order to reduce the visibility displays as to not interfere with further trees along Blackwell Farm Road. It's one objection, which simply states, what does this actually mean? Would anyone like me to read
Yes.
13 to you, please? No part of the development shall first be occupied until visibility displays of 2.4 metres by 43 metres in each direction have been provided at the proposed site vehicular access onto Blackwell Farm Road in accordance with the approved planning drawings. Once provided, displays shall thereafter be maintained and kept free of all obstructions over the height of 0.6 metres above adjoining carriageway level or as otherwise agreed. Reason, in the interest of road safety and comply with policy DP21 of the Mid-Sussex District Plan. Does that make sense for everyone?
Does that mean they're taking down trees? to include the
It's
document.
not very- the opposite.
The opposite.
The opposite.
They're keeping them.
Yes.
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 Councillor Whitaker, sorry, Councillor, I know it's your, but Councillor Whitaker, obviously.
Sorry, my view is that the reason for this is to mitigate or minimise the damage to the existing trees. And provided it concurs with, highways, West Sussex Highways Authority, which I'm assuming it does, then I think it's done for the right reason.
My take on it, my reading on it was very similar, that it is to protect the existing trees that screen that development. And I think personally, we should be supportive of anything that does protect those trees around that development, because with them gone, it would be very ugly. So,
Yeah,
And they might help with the flood issue.
they they'll not, if they're not there, then that will make that kind of difference. So I'm happy to recommend approval. Are you, Councillor Hall? Yeah, as it is your ward. Is there any other comment on that? I think Councillor Whitaker, thank you very much for that clarification. In that case, now show of hands to support that. I think as long as we have understood that correctly. It's not catchy. Thank you, Town Clerk, for the preparation on that one as well. We're going to put these two together, DM 221533 and DM 221534, which is the listed building. This is 20, the old convent. This is internal alterations and construction of 2 projecting oriel bay windows to front elevation. So this is, as the application suggests, a listed building. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the conversion of the old convent. This is the current building. And this is the new design that they wish to do. They have included some pictures that show the existing building and show the example of the cladding used on the oriel windows. So this is Town Ward. So Councillor Scott.
I think personally, they look ugly. And they would be able to keep them with the other buildings as well, so sounding building. And I think it's very high as it is, I wouldn't pass it.
So you recommend refusal
I would.
on the grounds of
Unsightly,
poor design,
yeah. Really.
DP 26 then, and EG3. Well, I think that's a do. Can I have a second? I know, look, a teacher's pet over there. Look at that. You bought an apple for me. Can I have a second for that, please? Thank you. Any further comment from the committee on this at all? Councillor Oakley.
Yes, the picture in the previous slide that shows displays an oriel window. It's nothing like what they've got in that.
It's a very good point, and I tried to make sense of this myself.
Because that actually looks very much in keeping with a convent.
It does, I think, and if I'm wrong, it's down to their poor plans and design, not my interpretation, is that these boxes here are going to be clad in that metal material. These are the projecting oriel windows that will be clad in that metal. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I agree with you to a point. If this was a listed building in isolation, I might think it's quite a cool addition that shows a modern take to extend. My concern is, as Councillor Scott has kind of alluded to, that this is part of a bigger converted property
It is.
that has a very strong vernacular and style and period feel to it. And has been, although converted, it has been converted very sympathetically. And I think this would be, I do agree that I think this would be quite out of keeping with the rest of the building. If there was a building on its own, I think it'd be all right, but I think with the others, I'm not sure. And I'm normally quite pro positive and edgy design. I just worry about how that sits with the other buildings. Councillor Small.
Thank you, Chair. What does the conservation officer say? As it's a listed
I
building.
don't, when I checked, we didn't have that. Wasn't there?
Will we be asking her for any?
There will obviously, because it's a building, there will be a report,
Good.
but we obviously
Yeah.
won't see that come back beforehand. Councillor
I'm
Myers.
sympathetic to some sort of modifications to what was shown, so I won't vote to reject, but I would also share councillor Smith's interest in what the conservation officer would say, I'd be led by her.
I think this is an application that it could be potentially very divisive and could go one of two ways. You could say this is a really cool modern addition to an old building, and you could say that it's ruining the scene for other people that want to live in a period converted. Probably got to look out on some metal clad ugly box. So I think it could be very. I am falling more into the it's going to look ugly to other people.
I mean, the reason why I'm saying I'm sympathetic was because I think it could be improved upon what's currently there.
Yeah.
I think it could look more attractive, so I could see something good there.
Councillor Dean.
I think I'm kind of the same as you in regards to, you know, I quite like a little bit of edge to some of the designs, but this is like you're almost just cladding two windows with metal. It's not, it's I think with these kind of historic buildings, if you're adding an additional piece onto it and you put like a modern link to something like that to kind of link a new part in, that's kind of nice. But when you're just sort of taking an existing area and just sort of whipping it out, and it doesn't, I don't understand what it's adding for a design feature. I don't really, it doesn't really sort of jump out too well. So I think I'll probably err on the side of not approving on this one.
So we do have a motion to refuse on DP26 EG3. I think we're discussing. Can I have a show of hands to recommend refusal? That's carried. And against? Thank you. In that case, I think that's the last application for tonight. I would like to close the meeting and you know that the next planning meeting will be held on Monday, the 20th of June. Thank you very much. Thanks, Chair. Can we stop? Oh, time is 7:38. We stop recording.